So now we'll start with the land ceiling. We already seen abolition of zamindari system or intermediaries. Then we are seeing now land ceiling. Okay. So imposition of land ceiling. Objectives, why it has been done? To make land distribution more equitable. So here it is, we are going for equitable social status with equitable land distribution, and article 39 as we mentioned. So that was the issue here. Early support and recommendations. All India Kisan Sabha in 1946 supported 25-acre maximum land holding. So according to All India Kisan Sabha, they suggested for 25-acre maximum land holding. So Congress initiatives 1947, All India Kisan AICC committee recommended surplus for village cooperatives. So if it is village, then yeah, it is okay. 1949, Agrarian Reforms Committee suggested ceilings 3 times the size of a economic holding. So whatever economic holding you have, for that 3 times you can hold the land according to Agrarian Reform Committee. Then we have 1951 to 56. First plan supported the principle of land ceiling. So it was the first plan supporting land ceiling. Lack of immediate action. There was no immediate action because the problem of data collection and surveys. First plan proposed a census in 1953. Anticipated 2 to 3 years for survey and machinery setup. So to just do survey and machinery setup, it will take 2 to 3 years was the anticipatory one. Opposition and implementation. So there was a rising opposition also from press, parliament, state legislature and Congress party. Perceptions of a threat to private property. That's how they have seen. Under Article 31, right? So Nagpur resolution passed a resolution to fix ceiling on land holdings. Okay. What is that session? Nagpur session 1959. Surplus land to vest in panchayat and managed by cooperatives. Okay. So criticism followed. Notable opposition from N.G. Ranga and others. There was a criticism also. But it was suggested in Nagpur resolution. That was the thing to fix a land ceiling. Formation of Swatantra Party, opposition to land ceiling and compulsory cooperativization. 1959, formation of Swatantra Party under N.G. Ranga was happened. Okay, Swatantra Party in opposition to land ceiling by N.G. Ranga. So state level implementation, it also got delayed. States were slow to implement the Nagpur resolution. Most states passed enabling legislation by the end of 1961, 14 years after the idea was first noted. So this was the problem. So it was under Nagpur session. That is the key point to be noted here. So delays and legislative was also there. Long delay was ensured minimal impact. Little surplus land for redistribution. Okay, high ceilings were there in Andhra Pradesh. 27 to 312 acres. Punjab 30 to 60 acres. So mostly they accepted for 25, right? But here more than that. So Maharashtra 18 to 126 acres. Individuals versus family holding. Initial ceilings imposed on individual holdings, allowing landowners to divide holdings among relatives to avoid ceiling. So initially it was individual, so they divided among themselves only, their relatives, etc. Later it was family also, we'll see that as well. Ceiling adjustment for family size. For family it was Kerala 67% increased. Bihar, Madras, Maharashtra 100% was increased. Tripura 140%. So exemptions and loopholes. Exemption permitted tea, coffee, rubber plantation, orchard, special farms, sugarcane farms, cooperatives, efficiently managed farms with heavy investments. These were exceptions. There are some exceptions also. Then excessive exceptions, Tamil Nadu, and 26 kinds of exceptions were there. So Tamil Nadu has 26 kind of exception. Too much. Vague criteria. Terms like efficiently managed farm. What does it mean? No one knows. So it was a vague idea. These were the loopholes. Misuse and eviction. bogus cooperatives, landlords transferred land to fake cooperatives, because you said no, if it is cooperative, under that there will be no ceiling, so they transferred to fake cooperatives. Direct farming, some landowners shifted to efficient farming to avoid alienation. They started kind of cultivation. Modified transfers, landowners sold excess land for or transferred it to relatives. Binami transfers were there. Then mass evictions also, like landowners evicted tenants and resumed direct farming to stay within ceiling limits. So this was a problem. So minimum surplus land, lack of implementation. In 1970, not a single acre declared surplus in Bihar. See, there was no Bihar, Mysore, Kerala, there was no single land which is surplus as declared. Andhra Pradesh only 1400 acres described surplus, none distributed. Successful attempts were also there in Jammu and Kashmir, 230,000 acres distributed by 1955. National impact, only 2.4 million acres declared surplus by 1970. Half distributed, consisting 0.3% of total cultivable land. So out of 2. Whatever 100% is there, in that 0.3% only was the cultivable land. So these were the history. So even in the history we have more. Agrarian radicalization also, increased polarization. Mid 1960s saw consolidation of rich peasant interest, emergence of agrarian radicalism, Naxalite movements, and land grab movements in late 1960s also happened. This was also a problem. So what was the first we have seen zamindari system, and then zamindari abolition system. Then we have seen land ceiling act. In that individual also, family wise also, and there were some exception as well. They were taken as a loopholes. These were the things. Now we see new phase of reforms. Why? Indira Gandhiji's populism, Naxalism, NDC guidelines. NDC in 1972 guidelines and subsequent legislation. According to that, new ceiling limits came into existence. Double cropped irrigation land, that should be maximum 18 acres. Single cropped, it should be 27 acres. Inferior dry land 54 acres. Family unit, ceiling applicable to a family of 5. So family of 5 only. Additional land for larger families up to double the ceiling. Priority in distribution given to landless agriculture workers, especially SC and STs. So compensation fixed below market price. It is below market price for new alloters. Okay. Implementation and resistance. Revised legislation. Most states passed revised laws post 1972. Judicial intervention also was there. Many landholders sought judicial relief, causing delays. Constitutional amendments 1974 amended included revised ceiling laws in the 9th schedule. It was into 9th schedule. Other issues, land distribution was of a poor quality, fragmentation of a land due to population boom leading to adverse land to man ratio. So the man to land ratio got reduced. So then we have also seen Bhudan movement. So now we are actually getting through the historical context of a land reform. Okay. So then we have a Bhudan movement. Initiation. Bhudan was an effort to reform land ownership and redistribution initiated by Gandhian worker. His name is Acharya Vinoba Bhave in the early 1950s. His objective was aimed to bring about changes in agriculture through voluntary and redistribution rather than government legislation. So it went for voluntary redistribution of land, started by Acharya Vinoba Bhave. So launch and ideals. Vinoba Bhave role. Due upon Gandhian technique of work and trusteeship to launch the movement. So this was the key, trusteeship. Then Sarvodaya Samaj, Sarvodaya Samaj. He organizes Sarvodaya Samaj, a federation of constructive workers to promote non-violent social transformation. So he also organized Sarvodaya Samaj. So methodology was Padayatra. Vinoba and his followers conducted foot marches, Padayatra, to persuade landowners to donate 1/6 of their land as Bodhan. Bo is like Bhumi. It means earth or land. Dhan is gift, land gift. Initial target aimed to collect 50 million acres, 1/6 of India's 300 million acres of cultivable land. This was the initial aim. Support and participation, Congress supported. Then prominent participants, Jayaprakash Narayan was there. He was a prominent leader, joined the movement in 1953 after withdrawing the active politics. Jayaprakash Narayan. Okay. Initial success, first donation, Vinoba received the first land donation on 18 April 1951 in the place called Pochampalli, Andhra Pradesh. It was received from Pochampalli, Andhra Pradesh. So I think it's a noble place now, Pochampalli. Early achievements, covered 200 villages, collecting 12,200 acres within 3 months. Spread and donations. The movements expanded to Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, receiving over 4 million acres by March 1956. So one thing to understand here is, than imposition, voluntariness will work good, and it is willingness to give. That was good. So he started the Sarvodaya Samaj, and Pochampalli was the first land grant he got. So challenges and decline, uplift, unfit land. Some of the land were unfit, whatever they donated. A significant portion of donated land was unfit for cultivation or under irrigation or under litigation. So for irrigation also it was difficult because it's unfit land. Distribution issues. By 1957, only 654,000 acres were distributed among 2 lakh families, increasing to 8,72,000 acres by 1961. Loss of momentum. Slowly it got lost its momentum. Limited impact was there and lack of large scale movement. So then we have legacy and significance, but still it's very important movement. Gramadan movement. The movement evolved into Gramadan or donation of village itself. Gramadan movement. Success in tribal areas. Successful in region with a little class differentiation like tribal communities. Moral ambience. Recognition were also there. So these are some of the good outcomes. Benefit of land reforms. Of course there will be benefits. We'll see what are those. Political, if you consider, policy initiatives such as land redistribution and tenancy reforms demonstrate the political intent to address social inequalities. So we were talking about social inequality. It was able to address this issue and uplift the socio-economic conditions of farmers. Non-violent reform process. It's a non-violent reform process, so which aided for reformation in socio-economic conditions of farmers. So apart from that, economic increased agrarian productivity, enhanced economic opportunity, agricultural growth, and increased income also. Once you get a land, you are able to cultivate, you will get the income, there will be a growth, etc. Society, so social elevation, societal stability, empowerment of marginalized groups, and then transformation of colonial agriculture structure. Technological adaptation of a modern farming. Whatever issues were there were addressed. Once you get a land to do, you get addressed, right? So then environmental, sustainable also, sustainable practices are also taken into consideration. So what are the issues? Lack of political will was one of the issue. Example, formation of Swatantra Party as we read now. Inadequate implementation and enforcement. We see this because different state has a different laws. Fragmented and there was no proper inaccurate records. That was a problem. So these are some of the problems. Along with that, lack of financial support and infrastructure, ineffective tenancy reforms. All these are we already read. I'm just revising. rapid urbanization, industrialization, complexity and lengthy legal process and judicial process also we have seen. So other land reforms were ownership and redistribution, forest land reform. So it was the example. Then tenancy reform, women land rights. This was also other reforms. So security of rights, leasing reforms were there, land consolidation, bringing underdeveloped land under cultivation, land bank system, so digitalization of records, rehabilitation and resettlement, land use planning. All these are solutions. We already discussed, that's why I am not getting into depth. So these were some of the things. Uh, so apart from that, we'll start with the water now. Land is over. So for now, we'll start for water. So the second component is water. Now we'll start studying in depth about water, which is an input to an agriculture. So some of the facts. Water aids water quality index. So India ranks 120 amongst 122 countries on the water quality index, with nearly 70% of water being contaminated. So India ranks 120 out of 122. So from last we had in third position, right? So 70% of water is contaminated in India according to water rates, water quality index. According to Economic Survey of 2023-24, irrigation area coverage increased from 49.3% of gross cropped area in 2015 to 16 to 55%. So 49, almost 50% to 5% more increased in 2020-21 that year. Irrigation. So irrigation intensity, ratio of gross irrigated area to net irrigated area, that is irrigation intensity. So it is recorded a rise of 10.3%. Okay. Then we have UN reports on Sustainable Development Goals 6, clean water and sanitation for all by 2030. India achieves 56.6% of the target by 2019. We almost achieved more than 50%. Still 50% is pending. So that's the thing according to UN report. So these are some of the points. Some more points also are there which are related to water use. Agriculture and water use. Agriculture accounts for more than 80% of water consumption. So which is the sector which will consume more water? That is agriculture, 80% of the water consumption, out of which share of a groundwater is quite high. So 60% of groundwater is used by agriculture. 52% of the area is rain fed, wherein yield is almost 3 times lower. So yield is lower, whereas 52% of the area is rain fed. World Resource Institute data. According to World Resource Institute data, these are key points. Okay, you should be knowing at least 2-3 facts to remember, so that you will be putting in your introduction or at the conclusion part during your mains answer writing. So according to World Resource Institute data, 25 countries including India face extremely high water stress. 50% of the world population live under high water stressed conditions for at least 1 month of the year. So this is the data from World Resource Institute data. So more than 50%. This was once a comprehension in CSAT paper. Okay. 31% of our global GDP will be exposed to high water stress by 2050. That is the data. So 31% of global GDP will be exposed for high water stress. India, Mexico, Egypt and Turkey will account for over half of exposed GDP in 2050. So 60% of world's irrigated agriculture faces extremely high water stress. So these are some of the data that world is going towards water stressed regions, and we have to take needed measures. UN World Water Development Report, Water for Prosperity and Peace. According to that, around 80% of jobs are water dependent. See, 80% of water is required for agriculture in India. and 80% of jobs will depend on water due to dominance of agriculture. Again the same point, because of agricultural dominance. Economic reforms of water, sanitation and hygiene overweigh the cost as it can improve health, productivity, environment and social outcomes in society. So these are some of the points according to UN World Water Development Report. So according to Interconnected Disaster Risk Report 2023 by United Nations University, Indo-Gangetic Basin in India has already passed the groundwater depletion tipping point. So groundwater is completely almost depleted is what the report says. Niti Aayog document on water trading mechanisms, it says only about 40% of urban wastewater is treated. So wastewater is also not properly treated. Not even 50%, it's just 40% is the properly treated water. So now we can read on some of the definitions for water related resource. Irrigation potential created. The total gross area proposed to be irrigated under different crops during a year by a scheme. The area proposed to be irrigated under more than one crop during the same year is counted as many times as the number of crops grown and irrigated. So what is integrated potential created? So this is the definition. Then these are key terms you have to learn. Irrigation potential utilized, water use efficiency. Just go through the definitions, and these are the key terms you can be using whenever you talk about water. Right. So these are some more problems, challenges for water. We have just seen the data now and also some of the important key terms. Now we see what is the challenge in water management based on Dalwai panel and Mihir Shah committee report. Already Dalwai panel given some recommendation for land reforms and all, right? So similarly challenges for water management also, like some recommendations from Dalwai panel as well as Mihir Shah committee. So what they are saying actually, demand side challenges. So demand side also there is challenge. Dependence on rain-fed agriculture. So reliance on rainfall, 52% of net sown area depends solely on rainfall, leading to lower crop yield. So it is one of the challenge. So most of them are like approximately 52%, more than 50% is rain-fed. So it's a challenge. Mismatch between IPC and IPU. So we already seen the definition, that is a mismatch between irrigation potential created, how much it is required, and irrigation potential used. There is a lot of difference according to the Dalwai panel is what they are saying. That is 23 million hectares. Suboptimal crop and cropping system. So low water requiring crops and like a significant land is used for crops that require less water, causing imbalanced water use. So there is imbalance in water use. Traditional patterns also is causing a problem. Urbanization and irrigation facilities is also problem. Waterlogging and soil salinization. See, excessive use of water without improper drainage, without proper drainage, then it will cause a salinity of our soil. So then we have pollution and quality issues also. Already we said we are standing in 120th position out of 122 countries. So that's the problem because there is no proper treatment. So when you see supply side, imbalanced groundwater use. Mihir Shah committee has reported 60% of India's district face groundwater over exploitation and serious quality issues. Okay. It is supply side. So lack of integration between surface and groundwater management because drying up of rivers, hydro schizophrenia. So you see this, what is the term? So regional imbalance in water availability, water governance and institutional and policy gaps, power subsidies related issues, net water export. These are some of the key issues. I can just give a reading on it, but the problem here is there is no much important of the lines, but the terms. These are self-explanatory. right? These are some of the problems. According to Water Governance, Mihir Shah Committee, what it says? So, what is it? CWC and CGWB remain largely unreformed despite changing ground realities and evolving societal and economic demands. There is a need for committees reforms, right? Because these are connecting with the surface water management and also concerned with the groundwater management, right? So there should be a reforms, because those are outdated mandates and they are limiting current issues. They are not able to tackle the current issues. So there has to be some proper reforms. Required shifts. What is this? Holistic river basin management is required. Key term. Holistic river management. Increased and effective presence at a river basin level. Diversified expertise is also needed. Expertise is needed to understand holistically, comprehensively the problems and to solve the problem. So these two are major shift needed. Implementation issue, delay in appraisal. State government have expressed concern about or over delays in techno-economic appraisal. Okay. State expertise is also needed. So that is also implementation issue. There is no expertise. So what is the importance of water use efficiency? So farmers side, if you see, climate change resilience. We don't know when it will rain, when it will not. To ensure that there is high importance to have a water efficiency. See, it helps farmers adapt to changing climate conditions by optimizing irrigation practices and managing water effectively during both dry and wet periods. In the absence of adaptation measures, rain-fed rice yield in India are projected to drop by 20% in 2050 and 47% in 2080 scenarios, while irrigated rice yield were projected to reduce 3.5% in 2050 and 5% in 2080 scenarios, according to Economic Survey 2023-24. So that is why water efficiency is very important for climate change resilience, even for economic viability. Minimizing excessive water pumping, resulting in energy saving. So that's the economic gain, right? So which gives a higher crop yields, improved productivity. So citizens, if you see, more water will be there for citizens to use. Food security will be there. If you take the environment, it is a sustainable practice, right? And the eutrophication we can avoid. We know what is the eutrophication meaning. So these are in case of environment, we are going to get benefit. In groundwater conservation will be there, environmental conservation. When it take to government, water scarcity will be not there. It will be able to, there will be no more water scarcity if you are able to manage it properly and utilize efficiently. Fiscal sustainability, irrigation dependency. So way forward is water pricing and incentives. Implementing water pricing mechanism and providing incentive for adopting water efficiently. See, we already have a carbon incentives, right? Carbon market and all. Similarly, let us have a water pricing and incentives. Regulation and enforcement are needed. Integrated water resources management. So this integrated is very important. You have to have integrated or holistic approach. Shift from land productivity to irrigation water productivity. State water policy has to be ensured according to Dalwai panel. Creation of National Water Commission also. One more commission, National Water Commission. Mihir Committee recommended. So then we have, also we should have National Water Framework Bill. There is already a bill. So we'll read that bill. What is it saying? The National Water Framework Bill has placed special emphasis on integrated river basin development and management, as also on river rejuvenation as central pillars of national policy. So rejuvenation also should happen. It places central emphasis on river rejuvenation and enjoins the appropriate government to strive towards rejuvenating river systems with community participation, ensuring Aviral Dhara continuous flow, Nirmal Dhara unpolluted flow, and Swachh Kinara clean and aesthetic river banks. So it can be passed to change the landscape of water management. So this is an important bill now, National Water Framework Bill. So we also need institutional reforms, irrigation management transfer. So this should be a reform. Empowering local water user organizations or water user associations or farmers to manage and operate irrigation systems, promoting participatory decision making and efficient water use. Okay. Capacity building is what needed now for water efficient practice. Skill development and training whenever we talk about capacity building. Strengthening research and development, R&D, so that we are using a technology for proper utilization of water. Water harvesting structure, and then we should be having water supply management. Under institutional, that are the thing. According to behavioral changes, we should also educate farmers and make them aware how to use the water properly and the effect of eutrophication. Demonstrating the best practices also will be useful. So then peer learning and knowledge sharing, nudging behavioral changes, technological micro irrigation, remote sensing, shift to climate smart agriculture, nurture based or nature based solutions also should be given. So more than that, see in Indus Valley civilization also we have seen an example of water harvesting. Now even we should go for water harvesting or water recycling and reuse. Water recycling should happen. Promoting reuse of a treated water. Crop selection and management. Wherever there is a water stress, you can't go for a water incentive crops. So selectively you have to choose what kind of crop can be grown in which region. Constructing farm ponds and water harvesting structures. So for water harvesting. So apart from that, stakeholder collaboration is also needed. Like cooperatives, collective action is needed. It should be multi-sectoral partnership. See, these are the key points you should be using. Nothing much here to read and write, because you have to write in 250 words or 300 words for a, like maximum 250 words, where you will be using key terms. Sit and practice the key terms. Okay, because those are self-explanatory, and if you are able to give along with some of the examples, your purpose is done in fetching maximum marks. So now we will see central schemes. Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana is one such scheme which is a central scheme. So we will see what is the component of this scheme. Department of Water River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation, Ministry of Jal Shakti. So the components are Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program. Provides partial financial assistance for major and medium irrigation projects. Harkhet Ko Pani. Sub-component is Command Area Water Development, actually Command Area Development and Water Management. It aims to optimize irrigation potential and improve agriculture through infrastructure and participatory management. Focusing on micro irrigation. Then we have surface mirror irrigation. Then we have repair, renovation and restoration of water bodies. Initially a pilot scheme, now a permanent scheme to restore water bodies. So this is repair, renovation, again it is a triple R. Repair, renovation and restoration. Whenever you talk about water, you can actually use this phrase triple R for water bodies. Repair, renovation and restoration. So there are Department of Land Resources, component is watershed development. Ministry of Rural Development. Under that we have one more like per drop more crop, and Department of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. Rain-fed area development program also one thing. Jal Kranti Abhiyan, Jal Jeevan Mission, state initiative if you see, Mission Kakatiya under Telangana, Neeru Chettu, Andhra Pradesh, Jal Yukt Shivar Abhiyan, Maharashtra. So we should be knowing some of these schemes. So Karnataka we have Krishi Bhagya. So case studies also they have given, like automation of irrigation system, Narayanpur left bank canal system. So this is a case study, it was successful. So just have a read on this, or you can just mention this case study. Diversion based irrigation system in Madhya Pradesh. Then we have growing tomatoes without soil using vertical farming in hydroponics, as it is a good case study you can mention. Then we have temporary flood water storage in agriculture areas in the Middle Tisza River Basin. So Middle Tisza River Basin, this was the temporary flood water storage. 20/7 metered water in Punjab. So saving metering and billing, saving water. Community based water management in Andhra Pradesh. So these are some of the good case studies we can mention as examples. So water management, under that we have Dara Vikas Sikkim, artificial glaciers Ladakh, in Maratha, Iwari, Bazar. So these are some of the important. I2U2, water is one of the 6 mutually identified area in I2U2. So water is also one of the component. So we can mention all these things. So now comes the micro irrigation technology use, so that we are using micro irrigation. According to Dalwai panel, micro irrigation can lead to 40% water saving, 45% increase in productivity, 50% increase in income. So we'll explore more on micro irrigation and their issues. So under micro irrigation, we see what are the issues. Initial investment is high. Technical knowledge and skill gap is there. So that is one of the problem. Then clogging and maintenance necessity is there. There is a clogging, like micro irrigation, water runoff will be in the similar point only, because of which clogging also will happen, and also will form salinization of that particular spot. Trampling by animals is also one of the problem. Water quality concern, uniformity and distribution. Energy requirement is there in micro irrigation. Scalability and adaptability is also a problem now. So these are some of the problems, key terms to be noted. But there are more benefits. Improved crop productivity, because we are giving micro irrigation, always the water supply will be there in a drop ways. Enhanced nutrient management, flexibility and adaptability, soil conservation will be there. There is no salinization much comparatively. Energy saving is more. It's a climate resilient, very important. And water use efficiency is very good. So apart from that, farmer education is needed. If we give that, mandatory micro irrigation for water intensive crop. If you are taking water intensive crop, go for micro irrigation, then you get cost effective output. Special loan schemes also are there. So schemes or micro irrigation fund is there. Per drop more crop. These are some of the schemes. So as per the Dalwai panel, precision agriculture by way of micro irrigation, drip and sprinkler, and sensor, drone, big data analytics based technology is important. So that is what they were saying. Use the technology. So in next class we will learn more on fertilizers, the third important outcome or input for getting more output. That's all for today.